They should hang a banner
40% from the three-point
bottom
line.
8 in offensive efficiency, 2025, 2026. If they're beating us 57-4 and pressuring the ball, here's what I can't promise you. There's an assistant coach showing up on crutches that for the next game. Go post up Jamal McGlure.
Right? Yeah. We'd be
Nightmare
walking
fuel.
around in
That's
crutches
nightmare
trying to
fuel.
drive against
He
McGlure.
chokeslam us. Welcome to From the Logo, the Score's NBA show where all season you will find insight, analysis, hot takes, and the best basketball banter out there. I'm your host, Joseph Casciaro. Joining me will be a rotating panel of guests all season. And for this week's season premiere in the studio, we've got Scott Campsall, we got Keerthika Uthayakumar, but we just call her Keeks.
Yes.
Scott, Keeks, what's going on?
What's up, man? Excited to be here. Excited for the new show. Excited for the season.
Long off season, we are finally back to some basketball.
Yeah.
Lots happening, I think.
I feel like hoops heads are the only people that get excited when summer winds down because, you know, that the crisp fall air, well, if you're in the Northeast or Northwest, not if you're in like a sunny market, but the crisp fall air does
Also
mean
those sunny
basketball is
markets.
coming. And this year, the crisp fall air does not mean another season starting with LeBron James, which usually that's what it means. Another year with King James. He's
22
inevitable.
consecutive years.
22 consecutive years. Season 23 will start with LeBron on the shelf. First time in 23 years that an NBA season is starting without LeBron James in an opening night lineup. That's our main
insane.
topic today. Let's talk about it. So LeBron has been ruled out for a few weeks due to a sciatica issue. I mean, you can joke around and call LeBron Unk because he's getting up there, but when you start talking about sciatica issues and back issues, like he really is the dad of the NBA now. But it's also very concerning for a soon-to-be 41-year-old who's got 23 years of professional basketball mileage on his body, now has this concerning back issue, which can cause a lot of irritation and pain. He's going to miss at least the first couple weeks of the season. So let's start from a team perspective and talk about how we think the Lakers can or will survive this.
I mean, LeBron turns 41 in December. There was never a possibility, at least to me, you can't be an NBA team, especially in the West, and think you'll contend if your hopes and dreams rely on LeBron James. Right? It's Luka's team. It's been Luka's team since he was traded there.
Yeah.
They go as far as he goes, I think.
Do you think that, how far do they go though? I'd say just this early portion. We're not talking big picture because obviously the hope would be LeBron comes back, they're a playoff team, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, like Scott, we know the West is unforgiving. We can talk about that all year. Down LeBron James, you know, okay, they got DeAndre Ayton, but I don't think he was the right center for them or on a team with Luka Doncic. He's not a rim runner or rim protector.
It's an upgrade over Hayes.
What's that?
Upgrade over Hayes.
Yeah,
Fair enough,
I think the bar's pretty low there. I think it's going to be interesting, which is, you know, no shit. But, like, you know, you're getting a chance at least right away because I think clearly, as you sort of mentioned, this is Luka's team. We're in a bit of a Luka transition year, I think, where this is sort of the first year that they went out. At least theoretically, you can argue, like, they got DeAndre Ayton to be his rim runner. You know, they got Marcus Smart to, you know, improve the defense. Laravia is a, you know, 3-and-D guy in theory, you know. So these are all additions, I think, that are made in the minds of sort of improving the team around Luka. Obviously, a ton of limitations with this team in terms of what they could add. But you got Luka coming in who was balls to the wall in Eurobasket. He's been great in the preseason so far for what's that's worth. And he is like an otherworldly player that just raises the ceiling of your team. So I think based on the teams that they're playing, their little early season schedule, I think they'll be just fine. I think it's pretty telling that the news of LeBron being out until at least mid-November didn't shift their season win total in any significant way.
That is interesting.
I think it's a 47.5, and I think it stayed there. If it shifted, it maybe went down.
I think it went down one win.
Maybe 46.5 it is now, So I think that's telling. I think there's a ton of confidence in Luka, and I think I'm excited to see what the Laker-Luka situation is, but I think it's not just us who's watching, it's also LeBron who's watching to have a look and see like what the situation is, because I don't know how his career is going to finish, but I would imagine there's a lot being talked about behind the scenes right now.
I mean, we haven't actually seen a full Lakers team, even with Luka. We had the one, he played out 3 quarters, 25 points in 22 minutes. Like, he looked great.
Yeah.
But he also did play Eurobasket, which is extended play in the summer with training camp. It's hard. It's a lot of work on your body. Yes, skinny Luka. Yes, he looks really lean. But you still don't know how that amount of play is going to impact him.
I think that's a great point because, I'm very pro Luka this season, motivated, skinny Luka, in shape, whatever. with the extension now. His kind of future set. But I'm with you in that it's also a lot of basketball for a guy who historically has not always been in the best shape over the course of 82 games, who is going to have an incredible burden on his shoulders to start this season without LeBron on a team where, listen, Austin Reeves is a good player. Jake LaRavia, I think, could be like one of the breakout players of this season. But when you're talking about like star on-ball creation, initiation, production, it's Luka and not a lot else. And there's a lot on his plate. I picked him to win MVP before the LeBron injury because I thought he was going to have such a good regular season and elevate this team in a way where you'd have to give him his first MVP. In a way, I want to double down on that because with no LeBron, he's going to have to take even bigger load. But on the other hand, I'm like, I don't know if he's going to do what I think he's going to have to do for these first 15 to 20 games. I don't know if he can sustain that for 6 months.
He needs a secondary creator of some sort, and that's what LeBron at least should be. Like, LeBron shouldn't carry nearly as big of an offensive load when he is back. It should be more Luka focused, with LeBron, I think, more off ball than ever.
Yeah,
for sure. I think what you typically see from guys when they come in off of like a hot summer is you see the hot start. Like I think we've seen that time and time again. So I think that's where that benefits them in this first run of the season where, you know, like whatever mid-November ends up being like 15 games, 10 games, whatever it is. I think he'll get off to a hot start. I think he'll be great. And then I think it's up to the Lakers to figure out how they manage the integration of LeBron, but also not, you know, pushing it too far with Luka. You know, McMenamin had a story in ESPN just about how involved the Lakers coaches were going over to Slovenia, being with him in the summer, going to Eurobasket with him. So I think they know that they're going to have to manage this guy's workload, and I don't know long term how that's going to shake out because also, you know, LeBron at this point could get injured at any point, and then, you know, you're thin for the rest of the season. But I'm not as concerned up top with LeBron not playing. I think it actually could benefit the Lakers in the sense that Luka's going to get a real chance to like put his stamp on this team, figure out what it is he can do with them, and then ideally you're bringing in LeBron in a supplementary role, which sounds insane. LeBron supplementary role. However, you see how it works without him, and then you see how he can come in and maximize Luka, and I think that's kind of what they're looking at.
The fact that LeBron, that we even think he can play at the level he should be and will be playing at this season is insane. He's turning 41.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing, right? Is that like you look at some of the greatest players ever who had long careers, or anyone who even got close to the longevity LeBron has had, which no one got to season 23, which LeBron's about to do. But like great players who last really long are not great players at the end.
No.
LeBron is still like a borderline all-NBA caliber player at this stage of his career, which is nuts. Now, what's going to be interesting is that he's got that all-NBA streak, which he's made an all-NBA team every single season of his career except his rookie year. If he misses 10 to 15 games off the top or more, that basically wipes out his candidacy immediately because you can only miss 17 games and still qualify for all-NBA. So that's, I know it's not the biggest story in terms of like the Lakers' big picture, LeBron's career, but it would be an unfortunate way to end that streak if, you know, an old man back problem does him in.
I think, though, I mean, it would be a very fitting way for it to end. But I think, though, that is just more telling. Like, it is a big story because to me, that's more telling of how LeBron and the Lakers are going to approach this season. It's just sort of like, you know, not necessarily last year, but in the last couple of years, there was a lot made of LeBron being like, I'm going to play every game, you know? And I think now we're at the point where it's like, you know, screw the stats, screw the all-NBA. Like right now, we're just trying to figure out how to win and how to maximize what we have with LeBron. And I think the fact that he's willing to just punt, you know, I shouldn't say willing, maybe he's unable to play, but, you know, they're punting at least, you know, the first 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, however many games he ends up missing. And I think that tells you where the Lakers are at and where LeBron's at right now.
And maybe it ends up being a blessing in disguise from that sense too, because the fact that he's sidelined to start the year and might, you know, affect his candidacy for things like All-NBA and Major Awards right off the top, maybe that allows him to then take nights off when he needs to later, as opposed to if he had got hurt maybe in the middle of the year when he was in contention for an All-NBA spot or something, and it's like, well, now I don't want to miss 17 games, and maybe he's not resting things when he should. If he's kind of out of candidacy by November, December anyway, maybe that actually allows him to be smarter about his availability for the rest of the year. Okay, so we pretty much are in agreement that the Lakers will survive on some level. Luka will very clearly be in the MVP discussion.
Lead the league in scoring. Like lead the league in shots.
Gonna get off to a crazy start. But for LeBron personally, is this the beginning of the end? Like, do you think this is not necessarily the Steve Nash situation where it was like, and then he just didn't come back, but do you think this is the beginning of the end in the sense where it's like whether he planned on it or not, this ends up being his last season because his body just won't allow him to go any further?
I mean, he's with that whole second decision thing. He's been teasing the end. It was so bad. Everybody knew it was an advertisement.
So bad.
But
not everybody.
At first, it fair.
As JJ Redick said, idiots. If
Idiots.
he did.
Fair. Well, at first it was, I want to play with Bronny, and then I think I'll be good, and then not good as in like retired, but that's his goal,
That's
right?
a
That was
thing,
his goal, and now Bronny's entering year 2.
Yeah.
He's already running marketing campaigns on it. It could be the end, and starting off with sciatica.
Yeah, no, I
I think that he walks off in the playoffs.
It feels different than any other LeBron season to this point, like for all the reasons you just stated. And I think, I would be shocked if this was his last season, like even injuries, whatever allows, because I do think we had this whole summer with him where he was like evaluating his decisions, or his, future. Yeah, Rich Paul put out that statement. They had like this kind of weird, some reporting of like, it's not a 0% chance that he leaves, So I think with him being a free agent at the end of the year, there's definitely, does he come back to the Lakers for one last year? Does he go to Cleveland for one last year? And I do think that is an interesting wrinkle because I think based on how this season goes, if he were to leave and go somewhere else, one of the big sticking points was he opted back into that money. I don't think it's like a big money situation to go somewhere else. So I think this to me is sort of the beginning of the you could say the end, but it's really the beginning of the LeBron's not playing every game, LeBron's not starting every game, LeBron's not being LeBron. I think this is the beginning of that where we could see a next year situation where he does a farewell tour where he's maybe playing 30 minutes a night, 25 minutes a night, something like that, plays 50 games or whatever.
So I've gone back and forth on this. I was convinced at the end of last year that this season would be his last, that he was going to get to year 20. He'd become the first player ever to get 23 seasons. It's literally his jersey number. It was Mike's jersey number. He's already become the all-time leading scorer. He's played with his son. I was convinced he's going to announce sometime before his 23rd season that the 23rd will be his final season. It'll still be with the Lakers, and he'll get the retirement tour that he deserves, quite frankly. I know people will make fun of him for it, but that he deserves.
Absolutely.
Then when he didn't announce it before the season, and even when, the second decision ended up just being a marketing point and everything, at that point I was then convinced, no, he's going to end up coming back for year 24 because there's no way LeBron doesn't want that retirement tour. There's no way LeBron doesn't want the standing O every time he checks out of every road arena in his final year, that he doesn't want like a gift from every teammate, which again, he's entitled to. He deserves it.
Yes.
And now I've gone back because of this back issue, because of the sciatic issue, where now I'm back to being like, you know what? Even though I don't think he planned it this way, it's just hard for me to envision as inhuman and robotic as LeBron has been in terms of his recovery and his durability and his excellence at this age and longevity. Again, he's going to be 41 in 2 months. He's got 23 years under his belt, and he's now got sciatica issues, he's got back issues. So whether he planned it or not, I do now think we're talking about the beginning of the end when it comes to his last season in the NBA. And so whether it's this year or next year, whatever it is, I know people have said this 1,000 times a year, whether you love him, you hate him, whatever, you better be damn well cherishing every second LeBron James is on an NBA court.
I think he gets that farewell tour this year regardless. Even if he decides to come back, I think they give him that whole, the pomp and the full farewell tour this year.
I think it would be hilarious if every team just decided to give it to him, even though he hasn't announced his retirement. So it's
just do it for 2 to 3 more years. It's just he never says anything, but every year we're like, hey, maybe this could be it. So why don't we just,
Again, I think he would deserve it.
I see, and I think people. I am number one, very pro retirement tours. Number two, I think anybody who thinks that they're it's self-absorption. I'm like, it's not just for you; it's for us too.
For the
do you remember
fans.
I remember the Derek Jeter retirement tour, and I hated the Yankees, but it's I showed up to the Sky Dome, I cheered him on when he got his little gift, and it's
tipped your hat like his crying nephew did.
Exactly, like the little kid. Yeah, it's just it's for everyone. I'm like, LeBron deserves it. If LeBron goes out without a retirement tour, I honestly feel like that would it's not right.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's enough LeBron, Lakers, Luka talk. Next week, the season does tip off for real. We need to get to some bold predictions. So, Scott, let's start with you.
Okay.
I think I framed this to you when I sent it to you as like, it needs to, we're going to chirp Keek soon, but it needs to be bold enough to be different. So, for example, OKC repeating, not bold enough, but also still believable. Like, don't be saying Grady Dick for MVP or something like that. So,
how dare you?
Let's start.
The great name of Grady Dick.
Let's start. TikTok star. Wish he was more NBA star. But
I'm pro Grady Dick, by the way. Go ahead.
let's start with you.
Let's start with me.
Bold prediction for the 2025.
Bold prediction. Okay, so I honestly don't feel like this is that bold, but I've been told it qualifies. I'm going. This is the season Wemby makes first team All NBA, and I believe he's taken the Spurs to a top 8 finish. Last year he had, I feel like every season he's had so far, you could argue is a quote unquote breakout season, but he was having a breakout season last year, runaway defensive player of the year before the blood clot took him down. And just to recap, this was his summer. He spent 10 days training his mind and body with Shaolin monks. He trained martial arts. He went to the Hakeem Olajuwon School of Post Moves. And also he grew and he's 7'5" now. So, like, he was unbelievable before. He's only going to get better. We've all been waiting. Sooner or later, he's going to hit that MVP conversation, and he's never going to leave until he retires. And this is the year it happens. He's got an improved team. You got a ton of young, fast guys that are going to run the shit out of teams. He's going to fill every hole. He's like having an extra half or extra person on defense. They added some depth with Cornette and Olynyk. I think this is going to be a much improved team. I think he fills all your holes on offense, whether he's popping out and shooting, whether he's screening and rolling, whether he's just standing in the dunker spot. Like, this guy transforms your team. Again, they don't have quite the shooting that I think you'd want, but, Vassell and Champagny are going to get so many open shots. They're going to get it. Like, De'Aaron Fox is a dream pick and roll partner with him. They just really need to get on the court together and figure that out. And I just think he is too good for this not to be the case.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I saw some of the preseason highlights. Like, he tipped in a missed free throw without getting off the floor. Like, he just reached. Obviously, we knew he could reach the rim, but like
like he's gonna score 10 points a game on things that are just literally that, like just like being around the rim.
Being around the rim.
Yeah, he's gonna get a quadruple double this year.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
That's the first guy since David
number.
Robinson.
Plus, it was. I think we have it at plus 1,200 for him to get one, and I'm like,
download the score
I'm gonna
bet.
put all my money on that. Yeah, download the score bet. Yeah.
I listen. I'm with you. If Victor Wembanyama plays 65 plus games from now until whenever he's going to be an MVP candidate, he's going to be first team All NBA, and he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. And just the caliber of superstar we all believe in, anyone with a basketball mind believes he's going to be, that caliber of superstar in the NBA cannot exist without their team being semi-competitive. I don't care what you put around them. That level of star in basketball, with the way one player can affect the game, and especially a player like Wemby who can do it on both ends, there is a floor that comes with that no matter what your team looks like, that I'm with you. At the very least, they're going to be a playing team, probably a playoff team in some way.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were, I forgot to mention this, but they were a top 8 defensive team when he was on the floor last year. Yeah. And it's like, could you name like
he led the NBA in blocks,
yes,
which typically the league in any like stat category, you have to play 70% of the team's games, which he did not.
No.
But the technicality is if you have enough of like a total of something, that the average over the 58 games, which is a 70%, is still more than anybody else, you win. Yeah. So, and he did that, which is...
So he won the blocks title without actually having the number of games that you would usually need to qualify. Right? That's how much of an alien.
Like, multiple months of the season.
Or he played 46 games and he still somehow won the blocks title. There's a real possibility that All NBA is All International this year, which is kind of bold, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I think that's. I mean, the MVP hasn't been American since James Harden in I think 2018, and like the way the game's going, I'm with you. I think All NBA. I'm assuming you're talking Luka, Shea,
Giannis, Jokic, Wemby.
I think that's a great call. Okay, Keeks, your first bold take.
Sorry.
Okay, do I want to go with the bold one?
Go with the one we're going to chirp.
Yeah, let's get that
Cash
out of the
didn't
way.
give me the same disclaimer that he gave Scott.
Fair enough.
I wasn't told I couldn't pick
Fair
this
enough.
one. But I think this one's a little bold. So my prediction is OKC is going to repeat.
Okay.
And obviously...
In fairness to you, we're going to clear out. Well, you ISO right now and tell us why it's bold and why you think it's more than just them winning.
The Thunder last year, obviously we know how Presti has a haul of draft picks for years and years and years. He doesn't have to keep any that gets too expensive because he can just rotate out with a new draft pick, right? The first first team to win a championship without being a taxpayer last year. Well, the Pacers too. We had two non-tax-paying teams in the finals for the first time. I think OKC winning one is going to end. It's been, I think, 7 seasons since we've had a repeat. The Warriors were the last team to defend a title successfully. A team hasn't even made it past the second round since then, right? Like, that's how long it's been.
That's crazy.
Since a team successfully defended their title.
That's nuts.
OKC winning again is going to obviously end that streak. I think that's the bold part of my prediction here. And then 2, how cheap might not be the right word, but how affordably OKC is doing this is going to make all the rest of the NBA feel that like cap pressure and the second apron pressure. The Celtics on their insane fire sale over the summer, which is probably going to get like even worse. I think they came into the offseason with a $540 million bill as an estimate if they kept everybody, which means you also lose a pick 7 years in.
Yeah.
OKC is going to win, but the bold part is that it's going to change the way the NBA operates.
I like that. I mean, there's an element of it too where it's just, I think, because I'm with you, I feel like we're all in agreement that OKC is going to repeat, but I mean, the way I see this season going, if they stay healthy, is that they are going to be on such another level from the field, just as they were last year, but a step up from that, I think it's really going to hit home for a few teams. Not that you want any teams like quitting on team building over the next few years, but I do think there are going to be teams, whether they're teams that are up against the tax or a first statement team, whatever it may be, that decide we're not competing in the next 2 or 3 years because look at that team and all those guys are locked up and they've got all those picks. So maybe it's time to retool or cut costs or whatever. You know, like Cleveland, for example, is the only second apron team this year. If say they don't get over the hump or they just look like 3 steps behind OKC, are they paying that bill again next year and doing it if they look at it and be like, we're not competing with these guys?
Well, there's so many expensive teams right now that
Raptors. Like one of them.
I mean, Magic.
It's such an interesting kind of like battle between that, the idea of having like a young team that succeeds and the idea of having an expensive team that's middling, because right now, because the East is so weak and because you've got a couple of those teams taken out, I think you have a lot of teams like your Raptors and now your Magic, I think is, they're creeping up there, that feel like on any other circumstance would be like, we're not in OKC's orbit. There's no chance that we'd spend this money to compete. But you could get that conference final money. You could get that second round money potentially by being one of these other, teams. So I think that's an interesting to see what's going to win out over time. Is like, are you going to see this trend of teams just tearing it down and not willing to spend the money?
Such a copycat league.
Yeah, right? Like, are you going to see it that way? Or are teams going to still be, worth it to spend the money just to be like competitive in a world where you're never going to win
Everybody watched the Pacers and the Thunder in the finals, and now every single head coach is like, our goal is to up the pace. We want to play faster. We want to pressure the ball more.
Defense,
Everybody's doing the possession battle thing.
It's a copycat league.
It's a copycat league.
All right, my bold prediction first. I think it's the first actually bold prediction on this show.
That was pretty bold.
This is how this guy treats his guests.
Is that the Grizzlies will trade Ja Morant this season? So Ja Morant, if someone had told me this 2 years ago, I would have told them they're nuts, because Ja Morant just consistently lifted that team to heights that their collective roster should not have reached. Like, he was the ultimate floor raiser from the moment he stepped into the NBA. He was a breathtaking player to watch, a superstar. He had an aura about him, an audacity about him, and it breathed life into that team, into that market. And obviously we know what's happened since then, whether we're talking off court, but the suspensions, injuries as well. And now over the last 2 years, Ja Morant has played 59 games for the Memphis Grizzlies. I think we can all agree that he is no longer the, media darling or market darling he was before all this happened. There isn't that same aura about him. And there are still some breathtaking moments when he takes the floor, but he just doesn't take the floor enough anymore. We already saw the Magic start cutting costs this summer when they traded Desmond Bane to get a little younger, to get more picks in. I'm a big believer in Jaren Jackson. I think he's a guy you can build around. I'm not saying they would completely punt and get rid of everyone, but if Ja Morant, who, by the way, hasn't played a preseason game because he's out with an ankle injury right now, can't stay healthy this year, or, more whispers continue as they have the last couple of years about the off-court stuff, I think Memphis will look to cut their losses, and even if they have to sell low on him, will move him. And I think when everyone's kind of looking at Milwaukee and Giannis, Ja Morant and the Grizzlies quietly in the corner might actually end up being the superstar trade this season. They also, in trading Bane, they got worse in an already tough conference that got better. So you could be looking at a situation where like they're not good or not competitive in a really tough conference, and Ja's not playing a lot and maybe not happy. I just think there's a lot of smoke there, and there's going to be a fire at the end of the day.
I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably also out to start the preseason. I don't know if he's been fully cleared.
I think he's played one preseason game, maybe. If not, I think he's closer to action than Ja is. Yeah.
Yes, he is closer than Ja is. I remember last year, they fired their coach with like, I think it was 9 games left in the season.
Basically no games left.
There was no games. Went into the first round against OKC with a brand new head coach. And the story last year to start was a whole new offense that they were going to run, right? To this day, I'm still not clear. Reportedly, they fired all the people that were responsible for this new offensive system.
Yes.
But Isala was still a part of that team, I think. Like, there's still some elements that's going to like carry over. They ran the fewest pick and rolls in the NBA last year with Ja. Obviously, did not play a lot, but Ja and Edie on the team, and you still ran the fewest pick and rolls in the NBA. Like, I think it all depends on how happy Ja is to me with their play style.
Yeah.
Well, it's confusing because the Grizzlies are, I think, like a non-traditional NBA market in the sense that, like, you're not getting any free agent. I mean, not that anybody these days is getting too many free agents, but like they're not a free agent destination. It's been such an uphill battle for them to get good in general. Like, obviously, you had sort of the, rise and grind team, the grit and grind team, sorry. And then, another plateau, and now here you are. It's like, it seems so counterintuitive for them to be like, we have a star player and we've got these young guys, or not, like, prime level guys, to then be like, just punt on it.
Trade and punt.
Yeah, but it's another one of those situations where, like, how are they going to get better from the situation they're in? And you just traded Desmond Bane, so you're definitely worried. Like, I think, again, it's another thing where those two things, like, the market is meeting, like, the practicalities of their team. And it's just like I think it's a great call. I think whether it's this season or not, I do think Ja's not long for Memphis. But, like,
is Ja asking out is my question, or are they trading
interesting.
him?
I think they might trade him. That's the thing. I don't think it's as much about whether he's happy there or whether they're happy with him. And I think the answer in both cases might be no. Okay, let's
like,
keep
what's
it.
the market for Ja? Sorry,
That's
the
so
thing. It's like,
curious.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
And that is going to be
right?
the thing, is that I don't think the market for him will be there, and that's why I think they might have to cut their losses. And I know it's counterintuitive to sell low, but at some point, if he's such a diminished asset that it's just better to get rid of him now, like they might have to.
They're probably selling tickets right now with Ja. They will absolutely not with.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
They might not sell tickets either way.
It's a
very
very
true.
like commerce versus like basketball brain situation, because it's like, I think as the market that they are and the idea of making money off ticket sales and blah blah blah, like, you're letting him go and then facing what, like, could be 5 years, could be 10 years before you get somebody that marketable again.
No, it's a shame, and I think unfortunately mostly of Ja's doing. Okay, we each have one bold prediction left. Let's go through them rapid fire style. Keeks, start with you.
Orlando will finish top 10, 12 in offense.
Okay,
I started with top 12.
I will bail you out again and say, doesn't sound bold, but for people watching being like, what? I can't believe this is true, but it is. The Orlando Magic haven't finished top 22 in offensive efficiency since 2012. Literally, them finishing 22nd, 9th worst in offensive efficiency this year would be their best offensive performance in 14 years. So top 10, top 12 is actually crazy bold.
2012, they were 15th. They weren't even a top 10.
They were middle of the pack.
They were still league average. They are a very expensive roster to not, like, all of the moves that they've made, I think would put them at the top of the East, in my opinion, with Bane. And availability as well. Like, Banchero should, knock on fingers crossed. They'll get games together. Wagner will get games together. Bane is the shooting they needed.
100%.
To make them a top offense. I think last year, what did I have? They shot 31.8% from three, which is the worst by a team since 2015-16. They've been bottom 10 in three-point shooting for 6 consecutive seasons, which is like pretty much the entire time under Weltman.
It's just like, how do you not fix that?
Well, they did now.
Well, but it took them.
Our big, at least one of my biggest criticisms of their front office is, like, I think they've also gone a few years without making an in-season trade. Like, you haven't done anything to acknowledge a very obvious problem you have outside of drafting well. So they fixed it, but they got Bane. With Bane, I think it automatically makes them a good offense. I think in preseason they're 3rd in points per game and second in offense. Preseason, valid preseason.
Still.
Yeah, no,
Still.
I think it's a tease for what's coming. I think they're going to be solidly above average, which should
That's all I ask.
hang a banner.
Yeah,
in
truly.
That's all I
Orlando.
ask.
They should hang a banner
40%
not
from the three-point
bottom
line.
8 in offensive efficiency, 2025, 2026.
Top 5 in defense and a league average or top 12 offense is enough
Yeah.
to get them to
think-
even like a conference finals.
Yeah, I think they're the third best team in the East. I really do.
For sure.
Scott, your second bold prediction?
My bold prediction this year is that Brandon Ingram plays 60-plus games and makes an all-star team. I think, see, that's a bold one.
Can we also acknowledge how sad it is though that like that?
Yes,
I
yes.
like Brandon Ingram.
Yes.
I think he will fit on the Raptors more than people think. But
Yes.
the fact that a guy who was an all-star in his fourth season, 2020, 6 years later, we're saying it's bold that he's gonna play enough games and make an all-star team.
It's a bummer
that
because
draft class
it's
is
honestly
interesting.
like it's funny how much of that of the bold prediction isn't like he's going to play well. It's like he's just going to play. You know, it's like I asked him at his season-ending media availability last year, just like, what do you need to do to get back to this level? And he literally said, just be out there.
Yeah.
And I think so. For to rip through it pretty quickly, I think he's going to benefit a ton from having been acquired at the or in the deadline last year. Got a chance to rehabilitate, get healthy with the team. Play with the team over the summer, get a full training camp with the team. And as we've seen, he's a guy who's going to get a ton of looks, mid to late shot clock when this team's offense, which I think is going to be, it's going to come to play a ton early on in the season. This offense figures out how to play with 5 guys that theoretically need the ball. He's going to get a ton of looks, again, end of shot clock, mid shot clock to try to bail them out, which, he didn't shoot great last night, but in a couple preseason games, he's been, super effective there. I think the rebounding numbers are going to be great. He's bought in a ton. You can see him putting the effort in on defense. Like, he is locked in. He is ready, I think, to be like, this is Brandon Ingram, and here I am. And I know the Raptors as an organization are going to push him to be an all-star. Yeah. Where the wins might not be there as a team, at least it's an all-star, so it's mid-season. I expect him to average 24 to 26 points per game, up those rebounding numbers. I even think the assist numbers will be
He's an underrated playmaker.
The assist numbers are low. I wanted to say that too, is the assist numbers are low, even in the preseason games. But if you watch the games, he is getting a ton of hockey assists, and he is creating opportunities for guys that are just not. Honestly, how many assists he gets per game, sometimes it's just going to come down to how often RJ Barrett makes a three-point shot. Like, truly, right?
I'm with you.
Yes.
I think that's where we're at with Brandon.
I think it's a good pick. I think that his shot creation just fills the biggest need on a team that is now trying to win on some level. So I'm with you there. And I also like, what I like about Brandon Ingram? That on media day when he was asked like whether he's looking forward to proving, the doubters wrong or proving himself because of the way the last couple of years have gone, I think a lot of players would take them and be like, I got a chip on my shoulder because the doubters or whatever. And Brandon Ingram just like very calmly and coolly, as he usually does, said, I'm actually just looking to prove it to myself. It's about proving it to myself that I'm still Brandon, or like that. It's not about proving it to other people. I don't care what other people.
Yeah, he was like, it's a dangerous game trying to prove it to other people.
Yeah.
He honestly, like in the situations we've had media wise with him, has been like awesome. Like I'm like super impressed with him. Yeah. He's such a quiet guy that I think like people.
Think he's shy.
Tough to get a sense of like him personally, but he's very funny. He's very forthcoming in a way that I wasn't totally expecting. I'm looking forward to the Brandon Ingram experience like as a whole. I think here.
And
I agree.
Darko also said he's a head coach. Darko Rajakovic said he's a basketball junkie, which I think again a lot of people don't expect that from him because he's got this very laid back, nonchalant attitude. Even in his offensive game, it's very like effortless, a lot of mid range, and you wouldn't expect that's like a basketball junkie, but he's apparently just like consumed
100%.
with film and being in the gym and obviously great stuff. Okay, my last bold prediction, a team that will be probably fighting with the Raptors for one of those last playoff spots in the East. So the Indiana Pacers, coming off a finals appearance, lost Tyrese Halliburton. I think they're projected to finish 11th if you go by like regular season win totals, over-unders on score bet and stuff like that. But I'm picking the Halley-less Pacers to still finish top 6 in the East. I think when you look at what's left in Indiana compared to what's left in Boston without Jason Tatum, the Pacers are a much stronger and deeper and more balanced team. I think Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, who I think is the co-favorite for most improved player, I think could be a borderline all-star in the East. Those two guys with a lot of two-way depth around them, guys like Nesmith and McConnell off the bench. Jay Huff, who I know people might laugh at this, but like if you look at permanent production, was just as productive as Miles Turner, but he's going to make like 1/20th of the money, can protect the rim, can stretch the floor in the offensive end. I think he'll fit in well. Like, I'm not saying they're going to be a contender. They won't, but I think there's still enough there. There's still Pascal to raise the floor. There's two-way ability. Rick Carlisle is a great coach who's going to get the most out of this team. And in a weak conference, I can see this team going like 43 and 39, 44 and 38, whatever it is that's needed to just be top 6 in that East. And I think they'll still catch people by surprise. Again, maybe not the boldest take, but considering they're projected to finish 11th, considering they lost Tyrese Halliburton, I'm not even saying they're going to the play-in. I'm saying top 6 team straight to the playoffs.
Dude, you could win 41 games this year and finish top 6, to be honest.
Stinks,
so
man.
I honestly think it's not as bold as it sounds. I always say this, like, there's something to be said for having a team that plays 7 or 8 like B pluses and plays hard in the regular season. That is a formula for wins. Like, you will just put up wins, and to your point, I think that's what we're looking at here.
Mathurin has
Mathurin.
such a big offensive load.
Benedict Mathurin. Yeah, no, I just think they're a solid team, especially in the East. Just a solid team. Okay, before I let you guys go, Scott, you're on the show this week, and when we do have you on the show this year, as I talk to you, we're going to have a segment called This League, which obviously anyone who is an NBA fan knows that's kind of the going phrase on whether it's NBA Twitter or social media in general, because there's always something that pops up that makes us say this league, in the sense that, like, it's compared to every other major sports league in North America, it is so social friendly. It's at times oftentimes ridiculous.
Like it will be today.
What's that?
Like it will be today.
Exactly. And for those who don't know, Scott runs the Score's social media department, and so it makes sense when he's on to have this segment. So Scott, for the first show of the year, your first appearance of the year, tell us what we're talking about on This League today.
Okay, so today we are talking about pickup basketball. More specifically, the media pickup basketball game with the Boston Celtics. I figured this was A, something that went viral this week, but B, you got 3 people here that have either played in or been involved in a NBA league media game. Like, we played in the Raptors one last year, and Keeks was there as well. So this week the Celtics showed up. So the Celtics media showed up to, I think it was a practice availability, and then they were going to get a chance to play pickup afterwards. They found out while they were there from Joe Mazzulla, oh, by the way, guys, actually you'll be playing the coaches. Videos have leaked of that. I believe the coaches beat them 57-4.
57-4 in a 12-minute
game. In a 12-minute game where Mazzulla, the highlight that came out first was Joe Mazzulla nailing like a half-court jump shots, and then just the camera work of the pan to the logo. If you haven't seen that video, you need to see it. So number one, I just think, I get to play host here for a second. I'm like, what's your reaction if you guys show up to your like media game? Let's go. And, Darko tells you, actually, you guys are playing the coaches today.
I mean, the score line would be similar. I'll say that. Yes. I don't even know if we'd score 4 points. But I will say this. If they're beating us 57-4 and pressuring the ball the way they were and not letting us take 2 dribbles before they stole it, here's what I can promise you. There's an assistant coach showing up on crutches that for the next game. I am not letting me and my fellow media brethren lose 57-4 and them run it up on us and not even let us get into our offense while Jaylen Brown literally stands up there and laughs at us. That's not happening.
Every new detail that comes out about this game is like better than the last.
Yeah.
Like at one point they were just jacking up threes. Like the coaches were only taking threes.
Yeah. And literally, they weren't letting watch footage of it.
Oh, it's insane.
The media guys and women would take like 1 or 2 dribbles. I'm not exaggerating. Maximum 2 dribbles. And Mazzulla or one of the other coaches would be hounding them and stealing the ball. Like,
I saw a trap and a steal.
Oh my God.
It was just brutal. And it's like, what? I am confident, especially if we get guys like Akil and Dwayne to play on our team who are technically media adjacent, but technically playing the game. I think like we have a better chance there. That gives us more of a diversity of like skill set.
I just want to say, probably not, guys. I'm pretty sure there were more turnovers in your media game than there were actual buckets.
And that was just against each other.
Against each other. It was brutal. See, the scoring is a big problem. I do think we'd put up more than 4 points.
The defense, I think, you guys more.
We put up more than 4 points, and again, I promise you we put up more fouls.
You're just not letting that out.
No, that's not happening.
I just have to say the thought of like initially, like there's definitely a part of me that would be like, this is going to be pretty cool. But just the initial of like thinking that I'm coming to play like you guys in basketball and then finding out that it's like a bunch of former professionals / former for like D1 players.
You gotta go post up Jamal McGlure.
Oh my God.
Right? Yeah. That was my first thought. I was like, McGlure, we'd be walking around in crutches trying to drive against McGlure.
Chokeslam us.
I'm just like, my cardiovascular fitness level is not there. You can't be pressuring the ball. What are you guys talking about?
Mazzulla called it a bonding experience. I'm like,
Yeah.
we're like humiliation.
I'm
for
glad
Joe.
you brought that up because that's how I wanted to wrap up. Is I mean, anyone who's watched the show, anyone who follows me on social media, whatever, knows how much I like Joe Mazzulla. Not just because he's half Italian, not just because he's a paisan, but because I very much appreciate this. And he's not like trying to be funny. It's not a bit. This like sociopathic devotion to winning every possession, and like how serious he takes everything, including media availabilities and whatever. And how serious he took a media versus coaches game to the point where even when he talked about it after, first of all, there was no podium where he was standing, and he made
said there's no stage.
Yeah, he made a point of saying like, oh, because like
also
we let our
good.
guard down in this game and we got to know each other through competition, so now there's no barrier between us. Like we don't need a podium. And he just has so many
can't
gems
stop
like this
laughing.
where you cringe and it's like no one actually thinks or talks this, but he does. And I just, one step further to just show, I know it's not necessarily related to the media game, but to bring this full circle, tie it with a bow of just how much I love Joe Mazzulla. So the new Netflix Starting 5 season came out and Jaylen Brown's in it. And there's a clip, I haven't watched the show yet, but there's a clip that I saw this morning on social media. And it was Jaylen Brown and Joe Mazzulla talking about how they always joke about if they ever got into a fight, who would win. And they're both saying, oh, that other guy thinks he would win, but it would be me, whatever. And then Jaylen Brown's like laughing about it. And then Joe Mazzulla deadpan. After Jaylen Brown says like, oh, but Joe doesn't realize how crazy I can get, whatever. Deadpan Joe Mazzulla says something along the lines of, if I taste death, I'm bringing you with me. Like, just... Honestly, I might have just talked myself into the Celtics competing without Jason Tatum because Joe Mazzulla is one of one. We need to protect that dude at all
There's
costs.
only one royal family he recognizes, you know? It's just, oh
He's
my
also
God.
like comes off as such a good person too. It's
Yeah.
like I understand why players would run through a wall from Mazzulla. He
yeah.
just brought up multiple times. I think somebody put an article out about Hugo Gonzalez,
Yes.
their rookie, not having a language barrier
Yeah.
of sorts. And the way he like
Defended him.
immediately, multiple times in pressers, being like, I really didn't like that. I think he speaks multiple languages. I think we should
Yeah.
like speak to him in his language. Like, yeah.
No.
He's one of
Insane.
he is one of one.
Insane. One of one.
And in a way that like so many of these instances have taken place that you're just like you kind of it's like you can't help but love the guy. honestly.
Yeah.
Every
No,
new
that's
thing you learn,
very-
you're like,
it's
good
very
dude, good
endearing
dude.
in a creepy way.
Yeah,
I
because you're
love
like, this is authentically
Yes.
him. He's not messing with us. Because for a longest time, it was like, is this dude for real? Like,
it. No, it's
but
great.
This dude
He's
is for
he's
real.
for real.
Good.
Yeah.
It's
so for real.
so good.
And to your point, I do love how he goes to bat for his players.
Yes.
Scott Geeks. I'd go to bat for you guys any day of the
Thanks,
week.
Kat.
Great
Right back at
first
you, buddy.
guest. Can't wait to have each of you back on. Appreciate you coming in today. As for me, I do have one more thought though. Fading away this week, I want to spare a thought for Victor Wembanyama's health. Not because of the deep vein thrombosis that ended his season prematurely last year. Thankfully, it appears that scary episode is behind him. No, I'm talking about Wemby's sheer size. Once listed at 7'3", the giant Frenchman is now officially 7'4", with ESPN's Brian Windhorst stating that he could be approaching 7'7". Lost in all the excitement over that information is that such size has never lent itself to a long career. Of all the players 7'4" or taller who have played in the association, none reached 900 games. Now, some of that can be attributed to how few of those players were any good. But take the 4 retired players 7'4" or taller who made at least one All-Star team, and the average career length was 671 games, or 33 games shorter than the injury-plagued career of Penny Hardaway. Yao Ming and Ralph Sampson are the only 2 players that big to make an All-NBA team. The average length of their careers was 471 games. To put that in perspective, the average career length of every other retired All-NBAer since Sampson debuted was 1,017 games. For the sake of Wemby himself, the Spurs, and basketball fans everywhere who enjoy watching this unbelievable talent do unbelievable things, I hope he can defy the odds and buck this trend. After all, training has evolved, Wemby's literally built different, and he got to the NBA much younger than Yao or Sampson. It's just that there's tall, and then there's too tall. Anyway, that's our show for this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed what you saw this week. We'll catch y'all next time.